Anyhow.
Well, still on that story, the minister also indicated that government, in collaboration with Zoomlion Ghana Limited, is undertaking an exercise to get rid of plastic in the city to allow easy flow of water. Mr. Anthony Mensah, who is the Director of Sanitation Directorate, Minister of Sanitation. Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon and welcome to Pan-African News.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we want to find out this from you. Now, the Minister, Cecilia Dapa, has made claims that the percentage for sanitation has reached about 85%. And obviously, Accra is getting to the point where it's about 100%. Now, would you say that this assertion is very true?
Let me just rest my office quickly so I can talk to you conveniently.
Okay, sir. All right. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, please, can you repeat the question?
Yes, so I'm saying that the Minister for Sanitation, Cecilia Dapa, has made claims that we have reached about 85% of cleanliness in Ghana as compared as to 100%. So I'm asking you this question: that do you think that we have done enough as far as sanitation or cleaning Ghana is concerned?
Thank you very much. In the first place, let me correct the impression.
Okay.
He is not saying so for respect of the whole country, but specifically for Accra, that is the Greater Accra metropolitan area.
Right.
Yes. Now, going back to whether that is the case, in the first place, I would like to state that environmental sanitation is a broad area.
Okay.
There are several components within. So if we are looking at Greater Accra metropolitan area in terms of environmental sanitation, we have liquid waste, we have solid waste component, we have the environmental management component, we have safe sweeping and solid waste collection from premises. So it is broad. Now, what the Honorable Minister said was in respect of the level of cleanliness within the metropolitan area. When he was asked during the interview that where are we in terms of percentage, how does she rank it? And that is when she said so. Now, the basis is this. Number one, at the end of 2019, that was December 2019,
right,
the Ministry of Monitoring and Evaluation, their assessment of the different ministries, sanitation, as collection of solid waste from the major cities, solid waste collection in the major cities, including Accra. The bill was called 70.
Okay.
So that is one of the reasons why the Honorable Minister made this assertion. Number two, during the lockdown in recent months, the whole of Accra was cleaned up. The ministry organized this cleanup exercise with all the municipal and metropolitan assemblies. And after the cleanup exercise was carried out for a period of about 8 years, so 8 days, the city became very clean. And that situation was sustained during the period of the lockdown. Now, subsequent to the lockdown, when the restrictions were eased, people came back onto the streets and brisk businesses started again. So the Honorable Minister was comparing the situation when the lockdown period cleanup exercise was undertaken. So and then now that the restrictions have been eased and people are back onto the streets, how we've been able to sustain that level of cleanliness? That's what she meant by 85%.
Okay, so would you say that that was the methodology used in reaching the 85% she spoke about during the COVID-19?
Yes, in actual fact, to assess the environmental situation, you need scientific tools to be able to undertake that kind of exercise.
Right.
But this was not based on a scientific study per se, but in estimation, looking at when the lockdown cleanup exercise was carried out and where we are now, we think we are around, if she takes the lockdown cleanup period at 100%, then where we are now, when the restrictions have been eased and people are back onto the streets, we'll be able to sustain the level of cleanliness up to about 85%. That's what she meant.
Okay. But there are subsections of Ghanaians who are also opposing to that vehemently, saying that that is not true. Even during the lockdown, like you said, being used as the methodology, there were some parts, of a crowd that you specifically spoke about that were still in filth. What is your assertion to that?
I agree with you. Certainly, judgment it depends on the individual who is looking at the situation.
Right.
So she thinks we've been able to maintain that very good level of cleanliness up to about 85%. Others will look at it from different angles. Right. And definitely you cannot begrudge anybody who will not agree with this kind of judgment.
Right.
I wouldn't fault any person who does that at all.
Okay, so if I'm getting...
Certainly the ministry has led to put a lot of measures in place towards achieving that level of cleanliness that we are looking at, as regards what His Excellency the President promised, that you will ensure or make sure that Accra becomes the cleanest city in Africa. Certainly, it will take series of activities for us to be able to work towards this kind of vision.
Yeah, I was even going to ask you that.
What has been done since that pronouncement was made.
Okay, so I was even going to ask you a question in connection with what you just said about the president making an assertion that Accra is going to be the cleanest city in Africa. What do you think is accounting for the sanitation problems and issues confronting us in Ghana here, given the fact that you work in that very sector? Is it an attitudinal problem?
Yes, certainly attitude is one of the major causes. Of course, if you want to segment the challenges, we have those that relate to infrastructure, we have those that relate to financial resources, we have those that relate to attitude. Certainly, attitude is a major cause of the situation that we find ourselves in now. Nevertheless, the ministry has led in putting measures in place to curb some of these challenges. For example, as regards attitude, the ministry has facilitated a process for us to develop what we call prosecution manual, and then also guided assemblies to revise their environmental sanitation bylaws. And they are in the position to enforce the bylaws of the respective assemblies to ensure that people fall in line and they do what is right. At the moment also, there is a scheme that has been rolled out. We call it a Clean Gamma scheme.
Okay.
Under this scheme, Zoomlion, which is the largest waste management company in Ghana now, is leading all the assemblies to ensure that the streets are cleaned or swept every morning, and then it's swept also intelligently in the course of the day.
Right.
Waste deposited in various public places are also collected, and then the drains are also cleansed from time to time, and they also have the the army, what is supporting the enforcement. So we have a task force that is going around to ensure that people observe environmental sanitation bylaws.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Flouting them as they used to be.
All right, thank you very much.
A lot is going on to ensure that we'll be able to work to achieving that goal.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So we have been in conversation with Mr. Anthony Mensah, who happens to be the Director of Sanitation Directorate of the Ministry of Sanitation. Now, moving on, the minister also indicated that government is in collaboration with Zoomlion Ghana Company Limited, is undertaking an exercise to get rid of plastics in the city to allow easy flow of water.
Is undertaking an exercise to get rid of plastics in the city to allow easy flow of water.
And general sanitation, because we are doing sanitation or cleaning every day. But some issues like clogging the drains becomes a bigger issue for the residents. Hence the presence of Zoomlion and the squad or team, the military, to assess the situation, because normally we work hand in hand with them, and then the assembly also. So we came here this morning to assess the situation and to make sure the drains are rid of these plastics, because if they are not removed, access for water flow will be difficult. Hence the gathering of mosquitoes, etc., and it leads to whatever. So we want to prevent cholera, we want to prevent malaria, we want to prevent diseases that might break up. And then at the same time sensitize the residents to be sure of cleaning the environment, because it is their primary responsibility. When you leave your home with the waste and you come and throw it in the drain, you are an irresponsible citizen. But the president wants us all to be responsible citizens. So when we don't do these things of throwing garbage into the drains will be clearer and neater, and our homes also will be clean, because the assembly will send the aboboyas round to pick the waste. That's what we want. I want to encourage the ESPA policy. We endorse it 110% of one house, one bin. This is what we are trying also to tell them. You saw the man with the mic. It's all sensitization and persuasion. Yes.
How effective would you say the district assemblies have been in this battle? It seems most of the time.
He's here.
Meanwhile, a resident who spoke to Pan-African News after the exercise expressed frustrations with the filth that has engulfed the Mamobi Nima drains and called for government's intervention to remedy the situation.
Yes, because government have to get people.
Meanwhile, a resident who spoke to Pan-African News after the exercise expressed frustration with the field that has engulfed the Mamobi Nima drains and called for government intervention to remedy the issue.
Situation.
Yes, because government have to get people, volunteers that will be going around. If they get you, they take you to this thing. You know, the law have to take its course, so that if it takes its course, the next person when he see you know it's right. So not throw anything in the gutter again. So the government has to put volunteers to go around. When they see you, they catch you. If you go and pay some money, next time you will not do it again. Yeah, that's what God has. If you go to Togo like this, we used to go there. You can't throw anything on the floor. You can't urinate just anyhow.
Now, away from that, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has cut sword for the construction of a 400-bed maternity and gynecology facility at the Kolobo Teaching Hospital. The 145 million euro facility to be constructed by Mesa Hibedi Javin will replace the dilapidated 6-story maternity building which is currently being used.
The 12-story project, which is expected to be completed in 30 months, will also include a 45M nephrology and urology center to provide specialized services in kidney disease treatment and management. Speaking at a ceremony to break grounds, the president said the project is in fulfillment of a 2018 promise made to the management of Kolebu to help reconstruct the block in positioning it to facilitate Ghana's progress in quality healthcare delivery.
And I'm happy to cut the sword for the construction and equipment of 2 major facilities, namely a 12-story, 400-bed maternity and gynecological center and a 2-story, 101-bed urology and nephrology center. The commencement of work on these 2 projects, in addition to the reactivation of construction work on the abandoned 750-bed maternity and children's block at the Teaching Hospital in Kumasi, will significantly reduce maternal and neonatal mortality rates. Once completed, the facility will contribute to addressing the persistent challenges of high maternal and child health morbidity and mortality in Ghana. Government has secured an amount of 145,220,000 euros from Standard Chartered Bank to cover the cost of the project, with an export credit guarantee from the Swedish Export Credit towards the reconstruction of the maternity block. The project has an insurance cover of some 19 million euros, and it is to be constructed through a joint venture entity known as Hedebi JV. The 12-story maternity block will have the complete functional package for the delivery of maternal services with the following components: 400-bed capacity, 20 labor delivery rooms, 100-seater waiting area, 26 recovery wards, 18 treatment rooms, 24 consulting rooms, 7 theaters, IVF services, 10-room accommodation for new mothers, 32-seater restaurant with a preparation area, and an emergency unit with its own triage and operating theater. Indeed, upon completion, the center will be the first public facility to deliver IVF services in the country. The 2-story urology and nephrology center will have a 31-suite dialysis station for persons with kidney disorders and 70 beds for genitourinary patients. The center will also provide outpatient services and serve as a resource base to conduct research into urology and nephrology cases. Again, once completed, it will be a game changer for men in this country, especially for those of us above the age of 40 years old.
President Akufo-Addo in fulfillment of a promise made after his recent visit to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital to commission the intensive care unit, yesterday cut the sword for the construction of a 400-bed maternity block. The president said he was struck by the state of a maternal health block of the hospital after his recent visit.
Mr. Kweku Ajiman-Menu has cautioned health workers to desist from seeking reposting when they are placed in some hard-to-reach rural communities across the country. The minister said the practice must be discouraged as President is working relentlessly to secure funds to bridge the health gap between rural and urban centers.
It is a record that the nation is losing over 1,200 people to kidney and urogenital diseases every year. My figure might not be right. I just talked to the CEO and he says, Minister, Kolebu alone, I said no, nationwide. He says it is likely we can have even more. Again, a lot of resources are sunk into flying people outside the shores of Ghana for treatment of acute nephrology cases, and it is only fair that this project is done and done very well to save lives and save resources of our country. So, Excellency, there is still a long way to go in achieving the desired specialist facilities that the country deserves. But government is not resting on its laurels. We have come a long way in building our healthcare infrastructure through successive governments, but the gap remains huge and still needs to be filled. The biggest challenge I ever faced in the ministry is the reluctance of prospective health workers to serve in facilities outside the big cities of Accra, Kumasi, and to some extent Takoradi. This problem is further compounded by parents and relatives who come up with several stories hoping to effect changes after postings. Let me serve notice, Mr. President, with your indulgence, that this phenomenon will no longer be countenanced as the country stands the risk of losing out on the achievement of the much talked about universal health coverage. Mr. President, yesterday I had an occasion to ask a very close friend who was coming to me to try to change the posting of relative, and I told him that the president is going to build hospitals across the country. So if our children, our nephews and nieces should all come and work in Kolebu and Range, how will we get doctors to go to those places? So I seriously am working on discouraging all of us who will come and say they have been posted to OT, but I want to come to Accra. So President, the sad thing is that close to 82% of all doctors in our country are found in the environs of Accra and Kumasi. And so we have places that I call the one hospital, one doctor syndrome. So the doctors in such facilities are working 24 hours and rest for 365 days a year. They can't even go on leave. Some don't have doctors at all. Government has taken steps to improve the incentive packages for staff posted to the rural and less endowed areas, and I'm encouraging all of us to see ourselves as Ghanaians and work wherever we are posted. You never know where you will need medical help. It is my hope that we will all put our hands to the wheel and drive our health sector growth in the right direction.
All right, so away from that, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo at a sword cutting ceremony for the redevelopment of a 164-bed municipal hospital contract awarded to Polychanda construction firm from China, stated that the project is aimed at achieving better healthcare service for citizens. He further explained that a hospital will enjoy well-trained, qualified health professionals to aid in proper healthcare delivery in the municipality and its adjoining environs.
I'm happy to be here in Labadi this afternoon to cut the sword for the commencement of work for the redevelopment of the La General Hospital. Let me at the outset thank the hard-working Minister for Health, the Honorable Kweku Ajiman-Menu, Member of Parliament for Ghana Central, for the diligence and efforts in helping to ensure the takeoff of this project. This redevelopment project has been occasioned by a report from the Ghana Health Service, which indicated that the 5-story structure of the hospital had developed gaping cracks which made the facility unfit for use. Furthermore, the unplanned nature of the entire hospital campus required that it be reorganized so that it can function efficiently as a 21st century hospital, which will serve the needs of residents of Ghana and its adjoining communities. As you may know, government's policy of achieving universal health coverage for all demands that we guarantee access to decent health care for every Ghanaian, no matter where they live. That is why government had to source quickly the requisite funding to embark on the redevelopment of this hospital in view of a strategic location in our nation's healthcare delivery system. This facility in so many ways complements the Greater Accra Regional Hospital at Ridge, and its upgrading will serve most people from Osu through La and Deshi, as well as residents living along the coastal corridor of Accra. Whilst the construction of new infrastructure is ongoing, the ministry is also putting in place measures such as retraining of existing staff and support to the various colleges of health education to guarantee the presence of the necessary human resources to man the facilities that will be constructed. And we use this opportunity to reiterate the commitment of government towards ensuring that all our healthcare facilities across the country are staffed with well-trained and well-qualified personnel.
So away from that, some drivers and residents at Dome Kwabenya are complaining about the deplorable nature of roads in the constituency. The residents expressed shock over the neglect of the Agbogba-Abokobi road after 6 months of sword curtain for commencement of construction work by the Member of Parliament, Adwa Safo. They threatened not to vote until roads in the area are fixed.
Government in the 2020 annual budget approved by Parliament touted this year as a year of massive road infrastructure works. Fast forward, some roads in the Dome Kwabenya constituency have not seen any improvement over the period. Residents are outraged about the state of the roads in the constituency and declared not to partake in any voting exercises until the roads are fixed.
Chairman, unless I go back to Abokobi Road, but in our it's us politicians almost say I did. Or the road no 1 year road no. This is the plan. I said 10 years we have suffer. Panta hospital na say na aye kakra. Let's still cry said on year. Through Africa matter form because of road niti. Masa bisa who say road ni yanka through no better form. Ambulance say ba am through ato form ewo kanum because road no bu afno no. Misira mo shana mo ya bibi mai. Imana ne kasa no ya da ma se pa anya misira.
A driver who spoke to Pan-African News explained how the roads have destroyed their vehicles, leading to constant buying of spare parts.
I have an MP in this area because we be paying taxes all the time, but we don't see what the government is doing about this our road. It's not today. Even it's almost about 2 years now. The road is still in a bad shape like that. So we are appealing to the government to come on our aid and maintain the road for us. And because of during their primaries, we've seen graders, grading the road as if they are going to construct it, but up to now we don't see anything. No road, no vote. That is what we have to say. Because we've been buying spare parts for our cars all the time because of the shape of the road. So that's why we are appealing to the government to come on our aid. If not, no road, no vote. Thank you.
They have called on government to, as a matter of urgency, fix the roads in the area before the elections.
That's all we have for you on our local front. Happiness is business. Stay with us. Let's do some business stories. Now, the head of the Association of Affected Customers of Savings and Loans Institutions says the president's claim that he's paid about 98% of depositors is untrue. Now, according to Ezekiel Ano, the Bank of Ghana has revealed that about 3.3 million people had been affected after the licenses of these financial institutions were revoked.
Speaking in an interview, he stated that from his checks, only about 297,000 people, which is less than 10% of the total number, have received their monies. President Akufo-Addo recently in an interview said 98% of depositors at the microfinance and savings and loans have been paid. He added that the rest would be paid by the end of August 2020. However, Mr. Ezekiel Ano indicated that many of the affected people, after submitting their claims, were told during the validation process that their names could not be found in the system. Meanwhile, Minority Leader in Parliament Haruna Idrisu is demanding an audit of the payment of monies to depositors of the collapsed financial institutions. He explained that the audit will put to light whether the claims by the presidents are reliable.
All right, so some stories. The statistical bulletin reports have shown that bank customers have started running to foreign currency deposits as a safe haven after the cedi consistently lose value against the major trading currency, especially the US dollar, in the second quarter of 2020.
From the May 2020 statistical bulletin, the data shows that in April and May, foreign currency deposits increased to 22.6 billion Ghana cedis and 23.3 billion Ghana cedis respectively. Meanwhile, within the same period, the cedi has depreciated by 1.21% and 1.55% respectively in those months. However, when compared to the first quarter of the year, foreign currency deposits decreased in February and March to 21.9 billion Ghana cedis and 21.8 billion Ghana cedis respectively. The very months the cedi recorded its biggest gain against the US dollar by appreciating at 4.8% and 1.66% respectively. The logical conclusion here is that there is a relationship between the cedi's performance and foreign currency deposits as seen in the data. In the first quarter of the year, when the cedi was stronger against its foreign trading partners, specifically the US dollar, depositors felt confident and safe in keeping their monies in local currency as the value was maintained. But as the cedi began depreciating in the second quarter, depositors no longer felt it attractive and wise to keep their monies in the local currency, so they started increasing their foreign currency deposits just to keep the value of their monies for the future. Interest rates on domestic deposits are going down, so depositors don't find it attractive to hold money in local currency. They rather prefer to change it into foreign currency, as that would hold the value up instead of putting it in local currency deposits. The cedi's loss of grip on the US dollar, as the data show, began in April after the country recorded its first case of coronavirus in mid-March, indicating that, among other factors, the depreciation was largely stirred by the pandemic-induced capital flight from the country, which put enormous pressure on the cedi. Governor of Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, underscored this during an interaction with the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament at the end of May, when he said, "The cedi reflects many factors. It reflects our domestic economy, it reflects development in the global economy, and if you look at what has happened worldwide, we have seen capital leave jurisdictions such as ours into the advanced economies. Now, when that happens, it has an impact on the availability of dollars in Ghana, and that can trigger depreciation of the currency."
For you on our business front, Abban is international.
Breakfast of the day. Every day. Every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Breakfast of the day. Every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
International front, Afghan President Ashraf Ghani has announced on Sunday, August 9th, that the final batch of around 400 Taliban prisoners will be released soon. The decision is likely to pave the way for the beginning of intra-Afghan talks this week in Qatar.
On Sunday, a resolution calling for the release of a pending batch of Taliban prisoners was passed by thousands of local representatives. The resolution said the Jargah Local Consultative Assembly approves the release of 400 Taliban prisoners in order to remove obstacles to the start of peace talks and stop the bloodshed. The resolution added that the Taliban should also take responsibility for the release of all civilians and military officials in its custody. The release of a pending 400 Taliban prisoners was repeatedly halted by President Ghani on grounds of them being accused of major crimes and murders, charges which Ghani claimed were beyond his domain to pardon. People want the bloodshed in the country to stop, and the only obstacle blocking the direct negotiation with the Taliban was the release of the prisoners, one of the Jargah members said. Since the U.S. Taliban peace deal in Qatari capital Doha in February, no direct talks have been taking place between the Taliban and the Afghan government, despite several ceasefire announcements in the past 1 year. Recently, U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper, in an interview, said that the number of U.S. troops present in Afghanistan will be cut down to 5,000 by end of November 2020. In the first half of 2020, a total of 1,213 civilians lost their lives, while 1,744 others were wounded in at least 880 incidents of violence in the country, as per the Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission.
That's all we have for you on our international front. Up next, sports with Eve Edwards.
Hello there, my name is Ivedus. Now let's do some sports here on Pan-African News. Now, Ghana football clubs have signed a petition titled Free Kwesi Nyantakyi, asking for leniency from President